She may be headed to her first Olympic final, but Canada's Melissa Bishop isn't intimidated by the stage. Nor will the Gainesville O&T native be bothered by the presence of South Africa's Caster Semenya, the clear favorite in Saturday's 800-meter final. Bishop is clearly on her game now, the reigning silver medalist from last year's World Championships in Beijing and an impressive runner-up in her Olympic semifinal on Thursday. Bishop had the sixth fastest time of all qualifiers at Olympic Stadium, stopping the clock in 1:59.05. But the time only told part of the story. With an impressive kick in the last 150 meters, Bishop showed how formidable she can be in the stretch, then eased up for the final 20 meters with her spot in the final secured. Bishop, who was also the gold medalist at the Pan Am Games in Toronto last summer, had the fastest time in preliminary heats on Wednesday. And now the University of Windsor grad believes she has put herself in position to contend for a medal. "I think everyone here at the Olympic Games is going for the podium," Bishop said. "Everyone wants a win. I'm certainly going to aim to be the best athlete and the best version of myself I can be on that day. If I leave everything out on the track, then I'll know I've done my job." In Thursday's race, Bishop eventually shook free from a crowded bunch to make a clear run down the stretch. "When there's 8 of us trying to run in one lane, it gets pretty tight," Bishop said of a couple of bumping incidents. "I think it's just making yourself aware. You know how long your stride is. You just have to gauge it off what everyone else's island is tough. I'm really excited. This is my first Olympic final, but certainly not my first final. So I think if I can rest up and recover well and come here on the day with everything at 100%, I'll be okay." While certainly in medal contention, gold may be a reach given the dominance of Semenya, not that Bishop is faced by that challenge either. "Every competitor is beatable," Bishop said. "I'm lining up on the line with these girls, so of course I want to think I can't beat anybody. Why not? The sky is the limit here. At the end of the day, she's a competitor like the rest of us. I just have to focus on what I can't do. It's the only thing I can't control." With the continuing world-class exploits of lead man Andretti Cross, the spotlight on Canadian sprinters is higher now than it has been in decades. Before the 21-year-old from Markham, O&T, won bronze medals in the men's 100-meter dash at both last year's World Championships and earlier in these Olympics. However, it had been a long way for an individual star in the marquee event of the Games. That said, Canadian men have been a story in the 400-meter relays for several years now, though not always for all the right reasons. And it's something the team is focused on rectifying in the Olympic final Friday night. Canadians know all too well the agony of medals lost in the event, for lane infractions or botched baton exchanges. The 2012 London Olympics, the 2014 Commonwealth Games, the 2015 Pan Am Games, the 2015 World Relay Championship. For major events with 4 untimely and heartbreaking disqualifications. "These guys know the rules of the race," Canadian relay coach Glenroy Gilbert said. "They know what they're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, they're still human beings and they go out there, and they have meltdowns. They go out there, and they have miscues. And that's what happens with people." On Thursday, the Canadian foursome qualified 4th overall in 37.89, the second fastest in Canadian history. And they did it without Dee Cross, who was assisting and preparing for the 200-meter final later Thursday. Lead runner Akeem Haynes handed the baton to Brendan Rodney, who passed it to Aaron Brown. Mugweled Jamal manned the anchor leg, but is expected to relinquish it to Dee Cross with a medal on the line on Friday. "We had 4 guys who could step up and hold it down for the team," said Brown, another of Canada's emerging sprint stars, although he failed to qualify for either the 100 or 200-meter finals. "We ran a phenomenal time from lane 2. It wasn't even a perfect race. We have a chance to medal. There's a special performance coming, look out for that." Advancing to the final of the 400-meter relay at major international meets has been old hat for Canada's male sprinters. It's been a different story for the women, at least until a breakthrough performance in Rio on Thursday afternoon. Finishing 4th in their heat, the foursome of Kamika Bingham, Sarah Jacks, Crystal Emmanuel and Silesia George earned the right to run for a medal on Thursday. "It's amazing to come out here and make the final with these girls," Emmanuel said of the Canadian team. which posted the 8th fastest time overall at 42.70. We're very confident. We sleep dreaming about these exchanges. We're going to go out there and run the fast time in the final. Catching the Chinese for fourth in Thursday's heat was critical, given the controversy that arose in the second Group C below. Silesia brought it in nice and strong, and I had to finish strong to catch the Chinese, Bingham said. We're happy and ready for the final. The women's 4x100 heats turned out to be a long day for the favored U.S. team, and one that resulted in a bizarre scene for the opening event of the Thursday night sessions at Olympic Stadium. After being disqualified for dropping their baton in the preliminary run, the Americans filed a protest, claiming interference by a Brazilian runner in the second exchange between Allyson Felix and English Gardner. The appeal was successful, and the American women were given the opportunity for a rerun alone in the evening, essentially racing against the clock. The time to beat was 42.70, shared by China and Canada, and the U.S. cruised to a time of 41.76, bumping the Chinese team from the final. Canada was 1/100th of a second faster than the Chinese. The U.S. takes the fastest time into Friday's medal race. I think I got propelled at about 20 miles an hour, Felix said of the bump. When a foreign object comes in front of you, it's going to mess up the momentum and the handover. It was a disappointing day for Canadian shot putter Tim Meadows, of Brockville, ONT, who was considered to have an outside shot at a medal. Meadows, who was tied for 5th place in Diamond League rankings this summer and won the silver medal at last summer's Pan Am Games in Toronto, was 16th in qualifying on Thursday and did not advance. Warm-up didn't feel that great. My first throw I just tightened up like crazy, said the 6'7", 220-pound Meadows. That's one of the disadvantages of being tall. If I tighten up, it's pretty much over. She gets nowhere near the lug of compatriot Usain Bolt, but it was quite the feat for Jamaica's Elaine Thompson when she won the women's 200 meters late on Wednesday. Thompson became the first woman in 28 years to complete the sprint double. Earlier in the week, she won the 100 meters, matching Bolt's output from the previous two Olympics. American sprinter Justin Gatlin was the latest prominent athlete to get booed by the less-than-friendly Brazilian fans. When asked if it was difficult for his family, who is here to watch him in his last Olympics, Gatlin said, "It is. But if you know my mom, she is a lioness. My mother and my father are my rocks. They've been to every Olympics I've competed in and they're in their 70s.